Stiles is a part of our CM7 crew. And Eddie, you want to tell our viewers a little bit more about what CM7 does?
Yeah, so our crew member 7s today are going to be Rob Freelowski as Capcom Capsule Communicator and Laura Stiles. And we're going to hear from them here shortly on the comms check.
You the same.
But, sorry, we are hearing the comms check,
We
so let's
are.
listen in.
Let's listen.
Real deal. Ready? Ready. Thanks. Bit of a fighter, but that was good. You guys ready?
Yeah, so they are getting settled into their seats. The comm check is going to happen any moment now. It's a very exciting thing. So as you were saying, Rob Freelowski is going to be doing that check with our astronauts, Laura Stiles, making sure that they are settled in. And goodness, I mean, this is the most exciting part. It has to be for the Astros.
And that's the namesake of crew member 7, right? We've got 6 seats in the crew capsule. Every seat is a window seat. But crew member 7 is the 7th person. And while they're not there physically with you, they can communicate with you through the whole flight. They've been with you through the whole process, and they're there in spirit. Essentially going to space.
It's kind of like the 12th man. You and I, we're Longhorn fans, but we know the Aggies have the 12th man. It's kind of like that.
That's right. That's right. Inspiration there. And a great shot there of the launch pad with New Shepard and our astronauts preparing for flight today.
Let's talk a little bit about New Shepard in the sense of we've got the RSS Carmen line, but this is also booster number 5?
That's correct. This is tail 5. So we recently commissioned this tail and added it to our fleet of reusable spacecraft. And this rocket launch booster now is going for its 4th flight today.
Excellent. Yeah, great shots there of New Shepard on the pad, getting settled, and we are expecting that check any moment now. So just for a moment, we're going to toss it over to the rocket. We are getting little glimpses of that, so I know you guys want to listen in. And this is actually a shot at fallback 3. This is where we have the guests of our astronauts, friends, and family who are here to see them take on New Shepard's 13th human flight. Again, this is NS-33.
Right, Tabitha, so, you know, we talked about crew member 7 accompanying with you on your flight. These folks are accompanying you through this journey and will be there to greet you when you return back safely.
A great shot there of the Tesseract. Now, this is where I was for NS-31, and I tell you, it brought a tear to my eye being able to watch New Shepard launch from there.
Mission Control. Good morning, crew, and welcome aboard the RSS Carmen line. Let's get started with some comm checks. Remember to turn your head to the right as you speak into the microphone. Astronaut Jim, comm check.
Good morning, crew control. Astronaut Jim. Hear you loud and clear.
Copy. Astronaut Buzzy Lee, comm check.
Astronaut Lee here. Looking forward to it, Rob. Thanks a lot.
Copy. Astronaut Awalabi Salis, comm check. Astronaut Salis, please remember to push your push-to-talk button and respond if it is loud and clear. Copy. Astronaut Junebug, comm check.
Control, astronaut Junebug, loud and clear.
Copy. Astronaut Keener, comm check.
Control, astronaut Keener, loud and clear.
Copy. And Astronaut Hunter, comm check.
Loop control, astronaut Hunter, all clear.
Copy all.
Tabitha, we've just heard our astronauts have received confirmation that their comm systems are working in the cabin and everyone's good to go. Some really cool call signs, by the way, for our astronauts and our crew member 7s, right? We've been talking about them a little bit. They're going to continue getting our astronauts situated and ready to fly. Now, every crew has a special crew name, and this crew has named themselves the Solstice 33.
That's right, because of the summer solstice, which is pretty exciting. We are about T-minus 17 minutes from New Shepard's 13th human flight, and there's so much going on right now. You know that they are feeling extra excited. But right now, it's time to finally meet the crew of NS-33, starting in seat number 1.
In our first seat, we have Jim Sitkin. Jim practiced law in California for 4 decades before retirement. Jim is a volunteer for a global NGO, facilitating meetings with government and community leaders in Central Europe and Sub-Saharan Africa. A lifelong adventurer, Jim has explored 7 continents and has dreamt of space since he was a child, growing up watching Star Trek.
Let's talk about seat number 2, Leland Lee Larson. Lee is a philanthropist and former CEO. He's got that beautiful blue hair for today's flight. In '97, he co-founded the Larson Legacy, a philanthropic foundation focused on supporting hundreds of progressive nonprofits domestically and internationally. Early in his career, by the way, he was a teacher who worked in the Army, counseling soldiers on their educational aspirations. Very cool. And he served as a delegate to the Constitutional Convention of 1968, which wrote the present-day Constitution of Hawaii.
Aloha, huh? In seat number 3, Owalabi Salas. Owalabi is an attorney and a financial consultant. He's the author of Equitocracy, which represents a vision for democracy that prioritizes equity among diverse groups. Owalabi is also a key member of the Soulmaker Ministry, which preaches the diverse nature of the universe. He tells us he's dedicating this mission to victims of discrimination and civil rights violations.
Let's talk about lucky number 4. Seat number 4, my lucky number, Freddie Rosigno Jr. Eddie is an Italian-American entrepreneur, business owner, and competitive golfer. He is the president and CEO of Commodity Cables and a lifelong golfer who has dreamed of space since he was a child. He has competed as an amateur at the state and national levels in golf for 20 years. He, by the way, is the father of 3 boys. Saying hi to you guys today.
In seat number 5, Allie Keener. Allie is an environmentalist and dedicated conservationist with a passion for protecting natural ecosystems and wildlife for future generations. She serves on the board of Nature is Nonpartisan, a nonprofit organization advocating for bipartisan solutions to environmental challenges.
And finally, in seat number 6, we have Carl Keener. Carl serves as the chairman of Building and Land Technology, also known as BLT. I myself love a good BLT. He is deeply committed to conservation. Carl champions efforts to sustain, restore, and enhance wildlife and natural habitats, sustainable food systems, and environmental restoration projects through business strategy and philanthropic initiatives. Pretty exciting crew to have together today. A lot of conservationists, which makes my heart so happy.
No, that's right. And Solstice 33, right, drawing inspiration from the astronomical phenomenon happening around them as they go to space today.
What a cool time and a cool place to be as you're doing this. But additionally, we have to talk about the patch. I love talking about the patch. Some key things to look for on NS-33 in this patch are the following.
Starting at the top, a lotus flower, which symbolizes Salas' spiritual journey. A school bus, signifying Leland's family businesses, and the leaves, which symbolize Allie and Carl's environmental stewardship.
The scales of justice represent Jim's work in employment law. The moon symbolizes Freddie's passion for archaeological discoveries. I want to know more about that. And each symbol is connected with the crew capsule by this thin green line representing each of the crew's members' unique journey. Big shout out to our very own Zoe Brinkley who designed this beautiful patch. We're going to go ahead and toss it over to the rocket and take a look and get ready. So we want to take a moment to also talk about New Shepard's and its offering for a life-changing shift in perspective. To date, New Shepard has flown 64 humans above the Kármán line. That's 9.1% of all people above the Kármán line. After this mission, the total number of people flown on New Shepard will be 74, by the way, will have flown twice. And what's really cool is that New Shepard allows everyday people, just like these astronauts, to visit space. We are now operating two human-rated vehicles to better meet customer demand. Safety is our absolute highest value, and we've built redundancy into every safety system. Let's go ahead and discuss how New Shepard actually fits, though, into Blue Origin's broader mission and vision.
Tabitha, New Shepard is just the start of Blue Origin's journey. It's a glimpse at what lies ahead in our roadmap, not the ultimate aim. Beyond what's happening here in West Texas, there are exciting developments, like New Glenn, which has already successfully completed its first mission, ushering in a new era for our large orbital vehicle.
Yeah, and what a milestone that was, Eddie. What was it like to see New Glenn from your perspective?
Tabitha, I was there in January, just a few miles from the launch pad, watching this exact scene that we were replaying here, being able to feel the rumble of the 7 BE-4s producing 3.85 million pounds of thrust. Woo! Was just an experience. And of course, right, New Glenn launched our Blue Ring Pathfinder.
Yeah, Blue Ring is a very versatile in-space system providing various services for equipment and satellites in space.
It's capable of relocating objects and space hardware. It can act as a communication hub between Earth and the Moon, Earth and Mars, and it augments satellite functions. You've got a picture there of the Blue Ring. It's a 44-meter wingspan total. It's a huge vehicle. Overall, it's an exciting new class of vehicle, making space more accessible and practical for companies, governments, and our customers.
Right, and it's an amazing addition to our toolkit and starts to really fill out that picture of a robust space infrastructure that will make space more accessible and more usable for all humans.
Right. In particular, its potential for cost-effective science missions is just, unprecedented.
Right.
All these developments are exciting, but there's one more piece to the puzzle.
That's right. Very soon we are going to the south pole of the moon with the 8-meter tall Blue Moon Mark I lander that happens to be taller than the Apollo lunar module. For us, this vehicle is a pathfinder as we continue to make significant progress within our lunar permanence team. This initiative is focused on establishing a lasting human presence on the moon, creating foundations for humanity to settle permanently.
Right. So on the left of your screen, the Blue Moon Mark I standing 8 meters tall, single launch, cargo capabilities. On the right are Mark II standing over 16 meter tall with capabilities for crew to the surface of the moon. So Tabitha, those are the pieces of the puzzle. Consider our tagline, for the benefit of Earth. This sums up our mission. Every program and every vehicle we develop aims to harness the resources of space for Earth's advantage. Our work focuses on accessing vast resources, energy, rare materials, and making it possible to relocate heavy industries, especially those that could be detrimental on Earth, like manufacturing and energy production, into space.
Yeah, and these are substantial ambitions. You're probably thinking that as you're listening to us talk about everything, but that is the work at hand for us here at Blue. Historically, fewer than 700 people have traveled to space globally. However, to significantly impact Earth using space, we must expand our vision.
That's right, Tabitha. We've invested in developing New Shepard and building our legacy in human spaceflight. With the success of New Glenn's first mission, we're scaling our services and creating a comprehensive ecosystem of programs. This is the approach that embodies the road to space. We're developing reusable launch systems. We've got various programs for space exploration, orbital mission, lunar ventures, and this will enable future generations to leverage space for Earth like never before.
Yeah, and with New Glenn's success, we've embarked on a new chapter in realizing this vision. Now, if you take a look at your screen right now, you might notice that we are currently in a hold. So just for a moment, we're going to toss it right back over to New Shepard. So we are still currently in this hold, and in just a moment we should be hearing from Mission Control. They're about ready to do the go, no-go poll from the launch. That should be happening any moment here, Eddie. And while we're kind of in this hold and we're waiting for that exciting moment, let's talk a little bit about New Shepard and what our astronauts can experience today on their flight.
So the New Shepard vehicle, right, is going to propel these astronauts beyond the Kármán line.
Yeah.
And they're going to get 3 minutes of clean microgroup gravity, some of the cleanest microgravity measured in, GRMS, root mean square. And that enables them to really, enjoy this experience of being in space, viewing space through some of the largest windows that have ever flown in space, and truly experiencing the overview effect.
It's something that so many people talk about, and how the overview effect really helps influence the rest of their life and the things that they're able to do right back here on Earth. New Shepard as a vehicle, we talked about this briefly in our mission and vision of what we do here at Blue Origin. But New Shepard is essentially a vehicle that is set up to help with our New Glenn launches.
So it's a test bed, right? So I would, take away sort of 3 things. And we've got the anatomy there of New Shepard, which is really 2 vehicles. It's the propulsion module or booster, you'll hear me call it, and the crew capsule there on the right. But to your point earlier, Tabitha, this New Shepard vehicle has given us really 3 key advantages. Number 1, we get to practice launch, land, repeat, and human spaceflight. So we get to hone our skills on operational reusability. Number 2, New Shepard is a test bed, essentially.
Right.
For example, we installed some guidance, navigation, and control instrumentation for terrain relative navigation for our Blue Moon program on the New Shepard booster. So as the New Shepard booster was performing entry, descent, and landing, we were able to raise the technology readiness level of instrumentation that we're going to use to land on the moon very soon. And then number 3, it's given us the ability to practice with liquid hydrogen.
Right.
So liquid hydrogen is important to us because we've selected a lunar architecture that leverages the fact that there's water ice on the moon. And meaning that there's water ice, you can split water into oxygen and hydrogen, and those are the same propellants that our Blue Moon system uses,
right,
that our New Shepard system uses, and so we've become world experts in liquid hydrogen.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, for someone who doesn't know, we have the oxygen, the hydrogen, and then the byproduct of New Shepard is water vapor. And right now, if you're wondering, we are still in this hold, and I just got confirmation in my ear that the holds are because of winds at this moment in time. But I still want to talk about New Shepard, and I think we also have a graph of the flight path that New Shepard takes. I really love this graph because it gives us, a full picture of what this experience is like for our astronauts. So there it is on your screen. In the little box, you can see New Shepard sitting on the pad, ready to go. We're just waiting on those winds. But yeah, this is...
That's right, Tabitha. So from left to right, you've got those vehicles in their mated configuration, sort of using the BE-3 engine's thrust to cut through the atmosphere. You've got some control with your aft fins as well that are hydraulically actuated. You get through the atmospheric pierce point max Q, and then you reach about 2.5 minutes later, main engine cutoff, in which case the BE-3 engine shuts off. About 15 seconds after that, the 2 vehicles separate and become 2 vehicles, right? It's at that point that you're seeing the microgravity, the very clean GRMS we were talking about.
Right.
And then you hit apogee, beyond the Kármán line, right? That's very important for our astronauts. And then the pull of gravity brings both vehicles back down to Earth. The booster first, of course, and it uses aerodynamic surfaces to stay stable on the way down, and then about 5,000 feet above ground, the BE-3 engine will relight, come in for a very, very soft landing, right? And I always look at those videos and I'm always impressed because that's not slowed down, that's real time.
Yeah.
But it's a soft landing so that we can reuse the booster time and time and time again. Meanwhile, let's talk about what the astronauts were doing.
Yeah, the astronauts have been up to a lot over the last 3 days. Of course, they have been getting ready for this moment. But I also want to take a moment and talk about how New Shepard compares to New Glenn. You gave me this incredible chart earlier, and I believe we have this graphic, and it was just, the scale is incredible. There it is. That's New Shepard.
Sure.
On the left,
yeah,
on the right, we have New Glenn.
Just more or less, New Shepard around a 60-foot tall rocket, and New Glenn just under 300 feet tall, and you've got a a standard person there for scale. This is the scale of the vertical takeoff, vertical landing architecture.
Right.
It's the inverted pendulum problem. If you could do it for the smaller rocket, it, can be scaled to the larger rocket. But the larger rocket is so large, in fact, that New Shepard fits inside of the fairing of New Glenn. So that's
really?
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, you could put a New Shepard inside of the fairing of New Glenn.
That's pretty incredible. So I am taking a look here, and we have some footage we want to show you from earlier today. I wanted to show our audience this footage, and this is our astronauts preparing for the day and getting ready to launch, of course.
Where we will be spending the next 2 days going through your complete program.
That's our Laura Stiles you're hearing there, preparing our astronauts over the last 3 days of training that they have. And for someone who doesn't know, Eddie, can we kind of walk them through what those 3 days are like? What are the systems that they are learning about and what they're kind of practicing and getting ready for on launch day?
Right, so we want our astronauts to have a very good understanding of the technical specifics behind New Shepard, but then we also want them to be very comfortable with the hardware they're going to use. So here we're seeing, for example, astronaut Freddie Rosigno practicing his harness, Lee getting his harness, and you get to practice that. You get to choreograph every move of your flight, right? So that when you're up there, you can maximize every second of microgravity.
Right, you want to take it all in. Right now, however, I want to let our audience know I am now hearing that the flight has been decided to terminate the countdown for today based on weather conditions. Out an abundance of caution, we are scrubbing today's flight, and once the turnaround plan is confirmed, we will announce a new launch window. You can follow us on social media for updates. Thank you so much for joining us today.